Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Amanda and I'm the dyer and podcaster and just all around crafty person behind Birch and Lily Fiber Company. Birch and Lily, anything Birch and Lily, that is me. Today is, I believe, November 15th, 2021. I'm coming at you with a podcast episode that is full of stuff, absolutely full. I was writing these notes and I had so much to write, it's crazy. Also, right before I started filming, I lost a nail. So if you see me playing with that, apologies. I was not about to try and fix it. Yeah. You can find me a couple different places on the internet. The main one is birchandlilyfiber.com, and then my Instagram is birch.and.lily. Otherwise, everything else is linked down below in the description, where you can find me, what I've talked about. You'll find everything down. I guess it's off to the side now. Not a fan of that, but wherever the description is, everything will be linked there. So, little overview. I have so many finished objects today. I kind of got on a finishing kick, and then I just suddenly finished, I don't even know how many pairs of socks. My Shawlography is done, if you can tell. That is what, ooh, glasses. My Shawlography is done. If you can tell, I'm wearing it currently. It will be coming off soon because I'm very warm. Yeah. And then I cast on a couple more pairs of socks. So apparently the sock knitting mojo is back. I think part of it has to do with a lovely make-along that Woolberry Fabric Co. is hosting. I will talk more about that later on in the episode, but let's jump on into a whole bunch of finished objects. First finished object, obviously, is my Shawlography. This is a pattern by Stephen West. It was a mystery knit along in the month of October. Now that is over, and it's just like a pattern that you can purchase. But I did knit this during the mystery knit along. I think this is only the second mystery knit along I've done. Usually I really like to see a pattern before I knit it, but I saw the first clue of Shawlography, liked that, and then just decided to do the whole thing, basically. So let me take it off, first of all because I'm warm, but also because I would love to show you guys as much as I can fit on the screen. Okay, so it's always fun to figure out how to turn this while looking at a monitor. This is my Shawlography. Should hold it a little bit more centered. Is this not so pretty? But also very busy. I don't know how I feel about it. I really like the colors together. I think that's a lot of the reason why I like it a lot. I also just really like this top section here. Something about this is really cool. It's just different. I've never seen anything like this before. I'm also, scooch this way. There, now I'm centered. I've never seen anything like this top section before, and I thought it was really cool, and that's what drew me into it and what made me love it. And then we get into this middle section and these loopies, and I don't know if I like that middle portion because it's just so busy compared to what I usually knit. But otherwise, I don't know. The board, this is a story of I don't know. And maybe I won't talk too much about it. I'll just hold it up so that you can see. But I'm curious. This is blowing out a little bit. It's definitely a little bit brighter. But I'm curious what you think. Did you knit Shawlography? What did you think of the pattern? Because like I think it's cool. It's very different. I think the main thing that I've been sticking on that I loved the most about it was how much I learned. There were so many new techniques that I had never used before in the pattern that now I feel pretty darn good at because there's a lot of stitches in this shawl. So that portion of it was really fun. And I did like seeing how all of the colors played together. That was really fun. And I should have known this going into a Stephen West pattern. It's just busy. It's busy. But I do think it will be like a really warm, I might wear this under my jacket as like a layering shawl. I'm not sure if this is something that I would want to like pair with an outfit and wear as like an everyday thing. I think it's going to be more of like a coat layering shawl. because I put a lot of work into it and I do want to use it, or maybe I'll end up gifting it to someone, I don't know. But yeah, it's just, she's busy. Yeah, this is busy. And the other thing I will say, there was so much going on in the rest of the shawl, and then the border happened, and I'll be honest, I was a little disappointed and a little underwhelmed that all it was just stripes. I was expecting and hoping for something like lacy and intricate and pretty, just looking at like what was going on with everything else, and then it was just like stripes. This is the back side of it, but it was just stripes. I don't know. And they took forever. Oh my word, they took forever to knit. Everything else went so fast. And then I got to these stripes and it took me like, I don't even know how long. Way too long. Way too long. But yeah, in the end, I am glad that I did it. I'm glad I experienced it. I'm glad I learned something out of it. And that's what I'm gonna go with and try and like ruminate on. I don't know. Anyways, what did I do for this? I used the Call for 5 colors of yarn. I will go through those in a sec. I did drop down a needle size, and I'm glad I did that because it made the shawl a little bit smaller because this sucker is massive. If you look at my Instagram, I posted today, the day I'm recording, a couple pictures of it, and I could literally like spread it across the whole back of my couch and there was still some hanging off the side. So it's big. So I dropped down to a 3.25 millimeter, a US 3. The pattern I believe calls for a 3.5 millimeter. What that is in US terms, I don't know. And then yarn. So this color right here that I started casting on with, this is a Sugarplum Circus colorway called Rosemerta. It is on their 80/20 fingering weight base, and I like it. I really like their 80/20 base. And then the gray color that is kind of around all the other colors in the top portion of the shawl, that is also from Sugarplum Circus called Moon. And then the two blues and the green in here are Autumn and Indigo yarns, 75/25 fingering weight bases, and they're all one-of-a-kind colorways, so unfortunately they are unable to be dyed again, but very pretty. Like I said, I really like how the colors play together. Keep in mind my shawl looks a little different than other people's shawls will look because I messed up and used the wrong color in one spot. And so I think it was like my color D and E flipped at some point in the middle of this. So that does make it a little bit different, but yeah, I'm proud of myself for finishing this. I'm proud of myself for blocking it, and I'll find a way to use it. Okay. So, like I said, I have a lot of finished objects. I have a large stack of, oh, I thought I dropped some. I did not. I have a large stack of socks that I finished. These were all in like varying degrees of 1 sock done, sock and a half done, all the things. And I just really wanted to clear off my sock needles because, like I said, Woolberry Fiber Co. is hosting a make-along. It's not one with prizes, it's more of just a let's get together and do something fun together. But it is called the Great Woolberry Christmas Socks Make-Along. It is long. I will put the hashtag across the bottom of the screen. But basically, everyone, I think for the next 2 years, is knitting a whole bunch of Christmas themed socks, be it Christmas patterns, Christmas yarns, and just trying to have like a big box of Christmas socks. So I wanted to clear off some needles so that I could do some Christmas sock knitting, and I did that. So let's jump into this massive pile of socks. The first pair that I'll show you, I haven't had a chance to block yet, but the last time I showed these on the podcast, I had this one sock done, and then I was at the point of this progress keeper here, so I knit like basically a whole sock in the past 2 weeks. These are just a plain vanilla sock. This is my current vanilla sock recipe. So I cast on 56 stitches for these to fit my foot. I did a 2x2 rib for 15 rounds, and I don't know how long I knit the leg. I just knit it until I was bored. And then I inserted a slip stitch, heel flap, and gusset in a contrast color. I couldn't tell you what that color is, to be honest. I think it was just a mini skein in my stash. And then knit the foot. Did a wedge toe. So basically, wedge toe is just decreasing until your final amount of stitches. I usually decrease my toes until 12 stitches. And then I Kitchener stitch the toe together. So yeah, nothing crazy with these. Just a straight up stockinette pair of socks. This yarn is from Stray Cat Socks Yarn. I don't think they're dyeing anymore. But this colorway is called Dhanya. And then I believe in the tag it says thankful in brackets. I gotta look. Dhanya. Thankful. But very cute. And then this Progress Keeper, I shouldn't forget, is from Sleepy Chickadee. There we go. And it's 3D printed, so it's really light. Oh, it's focusing on me again. It's really light, and I like that a lot because it doesn't weigh down the project too much. So super cute little coffee Progress Keeper. And this is finished sock pair number 1. The next pair I have shown, I don't know if I showed it last episode. Anyways, these are a pair of shorty socks, and I should put these on a blocker. I'll put one on a blocker just so you have an idea, because shorties, I don't know, they look ridiculous not on a blocker, because you just cannot, or I can't at least, envision how it looks. So that is what they look like. So I have this pair finished. These are, like I said, the Bear Mountain socks pattern. It's from Pip and Pin, and I did modify it into a shorty sock. I've said this before, but I'll say it again because it's quite quick. All I do is knit a 5-round cuff and then go straight into the heel flap, and that is how I do my shorties. So nothing crazy. You're basically just skipping knitting the leg of the sock, and goodness, there's hair everywhere. And doing the cuff just a little bit shorter than you normally would. So that is how I make my shorties. And like I said, this is from Pip and Pin, the pattern. I think the pattern does not have a slip stitch heel flap in there, so I did substitute that, and then I just did my typical wedge toe, because it's easy and I don't have to think. But let me see, is that pattern not just gorgeous, and is my unpainted nail just not gorgeous as well? I just love the pattern. It's got some elongated stitches, some wrapped stitches. It's so pretty. And really not that hard. I actually did memorize this pattern, so if I can memorize it, it's not too bad. And then yarn. This is from Maker's Haven. This is one of the skeins a couple months ago I said I was trying to use up because they are no longer dyeing yarn. This color is called the Chirp of Crickets, and it is on, I don't know if you can tell, a stellina base. So it's got a little bit of sparkle in there, but very pretty. I do have some left, obviously, because I just made shorty socks. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the rest. I may just make some more socks, to be honest, because I'm liking knitting socks again. Oh, I forgot to say, these are 64 stitch socks. These are a gift for Christmas. My feet are a size like 6.5, and I can usually get away with a 56 stitch sock. And most people I gift to are about a size 8.5, so I can usually do a 64 stitch sock for them, and it fits pretty good. So I don't think I'm gonna block these because they lay basically the way they should. They don't get that weird lumpy thing going on from where you've turned the heel, so I think that's mostly just because they don't have a leg. Anyways, so I'm probably not going to block these, but these are ready to go for a Christmas gift, and they're all squishy and wonderful, and I'm excited they're finished. Next, I don't even know if I checked my notes. I don't think, oh no, I did show these last episode. I must have literally just started them. But these are another pair of, they're not really shorty socks. But I knit the Niso socks, quite modified, by Joanna Ignatius, And I used a skein of Birch and Lily Fiber Co. This is Vintage Christmas. This was an oopsie skein, which is why you can see that really nice yellow spot in there. I don't know what happened with this skein. I think the dye split and it left a yellow spot, so that's fun. But my family, my mother and my mother-in-law do not care about that. So I'm using this skein to knit Christmas socks. This pair is for my mother-in-law. Like I said, these are the Niso socks from Joanna Ignatius. I cast on 64 stitches for these on 2.25 millimeter needles, US 1. I think I did not say that the past two pairs I showed you were on those needles as well. 2.25 millimeter needle. A US 1 is the needle I use for literally all of my socks if they are a fingering weight pair of socks. That is my go-to. My gauge is always great with them. I like the fabric it makes, so those are my sock knitting needles. But yes, I cast on 64 stitches. I did a 2x2 rib on here. I think the pattern may have called for a 1x1 twisted rib. So I knit one, purl one, but with the knit stitches twisted. But I just like the look of a 2x2. I find my stitches are quite a bit neater and tighter that way, so that's what I did. And then another change I made, the pattern does not call for this purl ridge underneath the cuff. That's just something I put in there myself. I kind of wanted to separate the cuff and the pattern on the sock, the leg of the sock, so I felt like doing that, and that's what I did. And then the pattern also does call for this texture stitch here to be on the front and the back of the sock, but I ended up just doing it on the front of the sock so that the pattern, the yarn dye has created that really pretty like micro striping thing, got to be shown off a little bit on the back of the sock. I did, let's see, what else did I do? A slip stitch, heel flap, and gusset. I can't remember if the pattern called for that or not. And then just a wedge toe. So yeah, I really like these. I'm very happy with how they turned out, and I'm very happy with how the yarn knit up. It was also a really nice experiment to see how the yarn knit up, because I have a general idea when I'm dyeing it. I know how long the hank or the skein of yarn is, and so I kind of can place the dye and know generally what it's going to do, but it's really neat to see it knit up. So these are very cute. I don't think my mother-in-law watches, so I will say these are for her. If she does, well, she knows her Christmas present now. But I'm glad these are done as well. And I did actually end up casting on another pair of socks with some of the leftover yarn with this, which I will show later on. And they're turning out really cute. I'm quite excited. Yeah, and finally, yes, this is my final finished pair of socks. These have been on the needles for much too long. I cast these on, I feel like in like May. And then I don't know why they sat, but they did. So this is another pair of vanilla socks. These are knit out of some commercial yarn with a little bit of hand-dyed yarn mixed in for the heels and toes. This is Nako Boho yarn, and it is a self-striping yarn. I think I only pay like $14 for it at a local yarn store. So if you're looking for self-striping yarn but can't really afford the indie dyer price point, this would be a good one for you. If you can find it. The only thing is I cannot for the life of me find it on the internet. I've tried to link it below before and I just have a hard time finding it. But this colorway here, I will give you the number that was on the ball band. It is 81980, and then the heels and toes on these are Sweet Fiber Yarns in Rose Gold. This is on their 80/20 base. I knit my, I can't remember the name of it. I knit a sweater out of it. And this was just some leftovers that I had kicking around. But I knit these up for my sister. We were actually at the yarn store together and she was really eyeing up this self-striping yarn, and I said, if you buy it, I will knit you a pair of socks. And so that is what I did eventually. So stats for these, I did another 2x2 rib cuff for 15 rounds. The socks themselves are 64 stitch socks. They were knit on 2.25 millimeter needles, a US 1 with a slip stitch, heel flap, and gusset, and just wedge toes. So I don't know how often my sister watches this, but these are going to be in your Christmas gift, even though they're technically not a Christmas gift, but they're finished in time for Christmas, so I'm going to call them a Christmas gift, and they'll just be added into your present. But I'm very glad to have these off the needles because they've definitely been sitting for quite some time, and I really hope she loves them. So 22 minutes in, and we're finally finished all of my finished objects. I'm really glad that my sock knitting mojo is back. I'm really excited to cast on some Christmas socks. I guess I technically have some cast on already, but I do have some plans in the back of my mind for some other ones so that I can participate in the make along. It's just so much fun for me to do something along with some other people and just feel like a little group. So the fact that other people want to knit Christmas socks and I can join in, I'm really excited. So works in progress. One little interesting story first. I showed these on the podcast a while ago. This bag is from Birch Grove and also covered in hair because my dog is shedding like nobody's business. If you have any sort of like double-coated dog, you would understand. I have a corgi and she is in full shedding mode right now. But it is what it is and I love her, and there could be worse things. So these are, I cast these on a while ago, the Wild Bees socks. I guess I could put this on a blocker. Because it's not that I don't like the pattern, I just ran out of yarn, which is not something I think has ever happened to me before. So let's see, I might as well go into it. Basically what I think I'm gonna do, I'm gonna leave these for a little bit because I'm frustrated. Not that frustrated, but enough. And then I'm going to rip them out and re-knit probably the same pattern, but do a contrasting heel-toe cuff instead of just trying to use what I have left of the yarn. Because this is some leftover yarn from when I knit up all of my Woolberry Fiber Co. Gilmore Girls Sock Club sock sets. I had to say that slow because it's a mouthful. But this was some of the leftover yarn and I thought I had enough, but I did not. This colorway here is, what is it called? Will You Just Stand Still? It's on their 80/20 sock base, Woolberry Fiber Co. I knit these on 2.25mm US 1 needles, 64 stitches. The pattern is so pretty. Let me flip them on the blocker. Gives you a general idea of what the pattern looks like. It's so pretty and I do really like it. But yeah, I just don't have enough yarn. Apologies, my sister started FaceTiming me and I had to decline that. I will talk to her later. She doesn't watch this. Anyways, I didn't have enough yarn that I could like take the toe out of this sock and put it into the other one and be able to finish. So they're just gonna hibernate for a little bit until I don't know, get the courage up to rip them out. This Progress Keeper, I think it's from Simply Serving. I don't fully know, but it's really cute and I love it a lot. And I think it was a gift from my husband one year for Christmas. But yeah, so it's off the needles now and slowly starting to unravel a little bit. But this is literally all I have left. And you can tell I don't have enough to finish the sock. So it is off the needles. I'll just leave it in this bag for a little bit. I don't know. Like I said, it's not the pattern, it's not the yarn, it's me not paying attention to how much yarn I had left. So yeah, the Wild Bees pattern by Helen Stewart, I would highly recommend it. It's very pretty and not hard at all, but I just don't have enough yarn. So that is, we will still call it a work in progress, but it's a hibernating one. So that is that. And then I have two other works in progress. So first, like I said, first of all, this bag is from Birch Grove. Favorite sock bags. First of all, like I said, I am using the rest of the skein that I have of Vintage Christmas from Birchandlily Fiber Co. It's blowing out a little bit. Sometimes if I hold it back here, no. But you saw it knit up in that sock and you'll see it knit up here as well. And then I'm also using some leftover fluff base yarn, which is a mohair base that Woolberry Fiber Co. no longer carries. and I get it because they're allergic to mohair, and I'm pretty sure I'm allergic to it too, because this is interesting. But I want to use it up because mohair is expensive. So this base is 72% mohair, 28% silk, and this colorway is Rhubarb Pie. They do still have this colorway, and actually they have a Surrey alpaca base now that they replaced this mohair with, which I prefer anyways. And I'm sure they've dyed Rhubarb Pie up in it before. But I'm using both of these. So I'm holding the Vintage Christmas double with Rhubarb Pie, and I'm knitting a pair of Hibernation house socks, which is a pattern from Lindsey Fowler of Larkspur Knits. They are adorable. Basically how they work, so I'm knitting the cuff held double right now, and then eventually, and I can kind of show you right now, the cuff gets folded over and knit together, and then you knit the foot of the sock. So it's basically like a pair of house slipper socks. And I just love how the mohair is working with Vintage Christmas. So I just kind of started these. I just have the first cuff cast on. I'm doing the 64 stitch size on 2.25mm US 1 needles. And I'm really excited to continue knitting these because it looks so cute, and they're gonna be so warm and cozy. And said gift recipient, I think, will love them. So not tons done on that yet, as I just cast it on last night actually, I think. But enjoying working on those, except for the fact that the mohair is like everywhere in my mouth. I can feel it right now. It's in the back of my throat, and it kind of makes my eyes itchy. But I'm dealing with it because I love the outcome of the socks, and like I said, it's expensive yarn and I want to use it up. So after that, that is the last skein of mohair I have in my stash, and I can completely switch over to Surrey alpaca, and that doesn't bug me. And I think it's softer, so it's a win-win. And then the final project I have is also in a bag from Birch Grove. This is a Christmas one because it's Christmas. I am knitting a pair, I think they are called, let's see, yes. I'm knitting a pair of cobblestone socks by the Knitting Expat, Mina Phillip. These are part of one of her, what are they called? I can't remember what it's called, but it's basically like vanilla but not vanilla socks. They're very basic stitch patterns. So these are the cobblestone socks. I don't know if you can really see, kind of. Yeah. Also, my dog definitely got one of my husband's socks, and I can hear them downstairs, and it's really funny. I don't think he knows I'm recording. But yeah. These are the Cobblestone Socks pattern by Mina Phillip, and this yarn I'm using is another Birch and Lily Fiber Co. colorway. This is Evergreen. So pretty, and slightly blowing out a little bit. It's kind of hard. Ugh. There is a little bit of like a tan, not tan. I'm really bad at describing colors. Oh, that's not bad. The lighter colors are blowing out a little bit, but that's relatively decent. But I'm very happy with how this is knitting up as well. I cast on 56 stitches for these on 2.25mm US 1 needles, 2x2 rib for the cuff for 15 rounds, and I'm already on the heel flap, as you can see, and I'm just doing a slip stitch heel flap and gusset for this as well. My thought with these socks is to keep them around as like a sample of the skein knit up. Actually, I have one behind me, I think. This is, there goes my dog. This is the Evergreen sock set. Again, it's blowing out a little bit. This is Lichen, one of my tonal colors that comes with the sock set. And then Evergreen is also available as a single skein. Tiny plug. But I have just a few of those left in the shop, and just a few of Vintage Christmas as well, not tons left, along with a couple other little things. But if you want your Christmas yarn, I guess I'll put a plug in here. I will be closing the shop the beginning of December, and then I'll be closed until the new year, just so I can spend time with family in December and not have to worry about shipping stuff out. Plus, shipping deadlines are a mess this year, so I figure if everything is shipped by the end of November, no one has to worry. So, yeah. Like I said, cobblestone socks. Nothing crazy with these. I'm going to use the leftovers from this skein, though, to knit another pair of Hibernation house socks. Do I have that skein? Let's see. I have another full skein of this somewhere. This is Sugarplum Circus, their Surrey alpaca base in the colorway, I think Seafoam. But I think these held double will look really, really pretty for another pair of Hibernation house socks. So that is my plan. Yeah. Otherwise, that is what I've been knitting like crazy. I've been having a lot of fun. I haven't cross-stitched, I don't think, once in the past 2 weeks. I'm okay with that. I just want to do stuff that makes me happy and keeps me busy, so who cares? But yeah, I would love to hear if you're joining in on the Christmas sock knit along. I would love to know, because it's so much fun, and I think, just like I said, getting together with everyone and doing something all together, even though we're like totally different worlds apart, it's really fun and it's really cool. And yeah, otherwise, not much is happening around here. We got our first snow the other day. And yeah, just gearing up towards Christmas, getting ready to go. So I hope you guys are also doing well. I hope you're getting lots of crafting done, whatever that crafting may be. And yeah, if you liked what you saw today, please consider subscribing and also hitting that like button and the notification button, because YouTube is terrible at telling you when people upload stuff and terrible at getting videos out there if they don't have subscribers and likes on their videos. It's really frustrating. So I really appreciate if you could do that for me. And I will see you again in 2 weeks, Tuesday, 10 a.m. Eastern time, for another podcast episode. Thanks so much for joining me. Bye!